Microphone? Okay, thank you. A little bit of both. All right. Come on in. Let's get started. So we can respect folks' time, get you on the road. I should say, so you get your swim goggles on and head back out of the parking lot. It's pouring out there. This evening is devoted to giving some time, some space for you to ask some questions. And this is both for parents and students. Those 8th graders in the room will probably say a couple words directly at you. And then there's gonna be a lot of answers about diplomas. 8th graders, the big thing, one of the big things that's changing for you right now is that in the 8th grade and the 7th grade and the 6th grade, what happened for you in class in, say, October in the 6th grade, hopefully you learned some stuff, right? Like you learned some new math, but the grade that you got didn't matter, right? It didn't really carry forward. That changes. In the fall, you start building what's called a transcript. So like what you do in October next year will still be with you 4 years later when you get ready to graduate. That's important. It matters what you do in October 4 years later. And what your transcript looks like will have a really strong impact on the options you have when you get ready to graduate. You want tons of great options. You want to be able to choose from 30 great, 5 or 6 or 7 great things, right? And the stronger your transcript, the more options you have. So like, you can do things that add options to yourself, and you can do things that subtract options. Like, taking good, solid classes add options for you. Spending too much time in the bathroom takes options away from you. Doing your best on your homework and turning it in on time adds options for you. Being late to school every day takes options away from you. It matters. Life is built up from a whole bunch of small choices, and the small choices you make add up, and they start adding up on your transcript. So we're going to answer a lot of questions about transcripts tonight. It's very important to change going in from the 8th grade to the 9th grade. If you go to the next slide, please, Mr. Parker. Here are many of these people here, some of them are not. I am Bill Pearson. I'm the principal of the Woodland High School. Mike Lindsay, who's right there, is the assistant principal. Mike Lindsay, many of you probably know, he's been here for 435 years, I think, or a few years less than that. He's a Woodland guy. Mr. Bachart is here. He's the 9th grade counselor. Those are the folks that are here. Actually, Jen Benedict is around here somewhere. She's the dean of students. Alas, only for the rest of this year. She's moving, so she will not be with us next year, but she's the dean of students. And then Catherine Pulliam and Springdowns are not here. They're the counselors for the upper level grades. And I'll just show you one more slide. Does anyone know who this is? This is Babe Ruth. Yeah, this is a very famous Babe Ruth baseball game where this is a legend goes, he called the pitch. He's playing against he's playing for the New York Yankees. And he's up to the plate, and he takes the first strike, and of course the opponent's dugout, they're just going nuts, and they're jeering, and then he takes the second strike, and they're going nuts, and they're jeering him, and then someone painted this picture. Because legend has it, he like called this shot, right? Like, okay, watch this. And he called it, and as legend has it, wham! Right where he pointed, right up there. Why did I show that picture? Because listen, 8th graders, if you're gonna call your shot, call the home run. Think big. What do you want to get done? Engage in an active imagination that lets you have the best kind of options you might imagine for yourself, and think along those lines. It might feel like tomorrow, the counselors are on your campus tomorrow, it might feel like all you're doing is figuring out what's going on for you on the second period. That's kind of trivia, right? Who cares? You're not. You're calling your shot. Where do you want to go? Think along those lines, because this is really what you're starting to do right now, building your options. So like, think like Babe Ruth. Like Babe Ruth didn't call a shot and point to first base. He went, watch this. Wham! Call your shot. Call it to hit it out of the park. That's what we hope for you. Lots and lots of good options. That's what we're hoping for you. So that really, when you think about building your schedule, think about that. Where is it that you want to call your shot to? Hey, look, there's a baseball analogy for baseball fans. We're going into baseball season. Okay, if you go to the next slide, please. This is where I'm going to have Mr. Bachart take over. This is where we start to talk about the way to get a diploma. Now it's going to get a little technical. It's going to be about credits and things like that. So that's where Mr. Bachart comes in.
Okay, I My name is Jeff Pockert. I'm one of the counselors. Good to see you. Thanks for being here tonight. I would say the way I would sum up the next few slides is just how do you be successful at the high school level? Some of you already have kids that are at the high school, so this is, you probably know most of this. But if you don't have a student at the high school, this is kind of a big picture overview of what the heck they need to do to be successful here. And so, this first graphic just represents what credits do they need in each subject area. Because like Dr. Pearson said, really the key piece to this is their transcript. It's kind of like a resume. So they're building their transcript every semester. And so what they need to graduate, they need 4 credits of English, so every year they'll be in English. They need 3 credits of math, 3 credits of science, 3 credits of social studies. The CTE stands for career, now that I'm up here, career technical education. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't think I'd be nervous up here, but I don't remember what CTE means. Then two health and fitness. So basically the kids take PE for a year and a half, and then they take a health semester. And then if you see over on the right, there's a big or in the middle. They can take 2 years of art or 1 art and 1, the PPR stands for personalized pathway. That's basically anything that relates to their overall educational goals. And then the next box down, they need 2 years of a world language or 2 more of those PPR classes, the personalized pathway, and then 4 electives. And certainly, we don't expect you to memorize this. This is available on the website. We just want to kind of give you a quick overview of what the kids need in order to get that diploma. Any questions on this slide? Okay. So, I think the easy way to think about how you earn those 24 credits is the kids have 6 periods, and each one of those is worth a credit for the year. Now, we split the year in half, so let's just say first period, right, they have English. So in the first half of that English, they're gonna earn a half a credit. And the second half, they'll earn another half, so for the whole year, first period gives them 1 credit. It's pretty easy when you think about it like that. Each period equals a credit. And so they have 6 classes, so they'll get 6 credits from all their kind of traditional classes. Now we add 1 more class we call grit. Some high schools call it an advisory. Some high schools might call it a homeroom. But it's basically, I think it's about 25 minutes. As an example, the kids at the high school will forecast, pick their classes for next year in that grit class. So there's a wide range of things. I would say a lot of it's kind of big picture, character. The program we use is called Character Strong, which is a phenomenal program. But in that class, they can earn a quarter credit per semester, which gives them a half a credit for the year. So they can earn 6.5 credits per year. Sorry, I should ask any questions on that slide. Okay. So, in math, as an example, the kids, from what I see, and this is my first year here, the kids kind of come in at lots of different places, but the standard track through the math program is first Algebra 1, then Geometry, and then you notice the green circle, that third year of math can be either Algebra 2 or Applied Math. So they have some choices on that third year. Not to get too into this today, but the kids have other choices. They could go to Running Start their junior year, or they could go to Cascadia Tech, and those are maybe, those are conversations we can have a little bit later, but there are other choices, just so you know. Yeah, math is pretty straightforward. Any questions on that?
Yeah. Algebra 1 and geometry are state requirements. Everyone has to pass Algebra 1 and geometry. Those things come from the state.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Pearson. Yes, ma'am.
So with Woodland Middle School, there's 2 advanced classes
Yes.
And then you can, of course, do more.
Yes, you can do more, absolutely.
Yeah,
And
that's what I would say. Let me encourage you.
Yeah.
You're good at math. No adult has ever said, "Oh, if I could know so much math, I would be so much better off." No adult has ever said that. So if you are good at math, just because the
Keep
teacher
going,
doesn't
yeah.
make you do it, keep doing it. Math has options.
And then one thing I would say to kind of add, and I know we have limited time tonight, so I'm not, this is something I'd like this stuff so I can talk about this for a long time. But really quickly, what I would say, this kind of tags on to what Dr. Pearson said. You, depending on what you want to do after high school, and a lot of young kids don't know yet. You don't know what you want to do. So I think it's smart to keep as many doors open as you possibly can, right? And I had this conversation with my own daughter last night, who's going to be a 9th grader. They're so young, they don't know what the heck they want to do, but it's nice to keep doors open. So I would look at what we talked about here as the minimum, right? Like Dr. Pearson said, swing for the fences, right? Let's say you decide you want to go to Cal Berkeley. Let's have that option, right? And I know there's, whatever, if we have 150 freshmen, there's going to be 150 different pathways. But my point is, just let's have as many options as we can as we move through high school. So to your question, let's just say you come in and as a 9th grader and you're in algebra 2. The more advanced classes you can take, the more choices you will have, especially with regard to the college application and admissions process 4 years down the road. I'll just leave it at that. Okay, so this graphic basically just kind of shows the green classes are what we call core classes. Every student takes those. Every student will take English, math, science, and health and fitness. That's standard across all the 9th graders. The orange classes represent choices, so you can take a world language or that personalized pathway that we mentioned, and that's just a class that relates to your goals. So there's a lot of flexibility there. The last one, elective or the art, career, CTE again, lots of choices. I actually have a handout for you of the classes that we'll show kids tomorrow at the middle school about all their choices for those last 2 orange boxes. And I touched base on this, and so did Dr. Pearson just a little bit, but I think I would think about this as kind of the bare minimum for what do you need to do to be eligible to go to a 4-year school. Now this, let's say your student is saying, I have to go to NYU, right? We would have a conversation about that and kind of get a specific plan. But at the minimum, you need 2 consecutive years of a world language, right? So through Spanish 2, you need to complete Algebra 2, a math-based science like chemistry. I have heard from a lot of college recruiters that chemistry is one of those, but I think San Diego State got like 120,000 applications. And so let's say they have this big pile. If you didn't take chemistry, you just go in the garbage, right? So chemistry is super important. Again, so that's kind of the minimum that you need for college. The good news is that I think in the Northwest, our population density is nowhere near what it is on the East Coast or California, so there's a little more flexibility. It's not quite as challenging in terms of what you need to get in. I know Ms. Pulliam heard from Washington State a couple months ago that some of these are even negotiable because they need their enrollments down. So again, I think if you have specific goals about colleges, come and see us. We're happy to talk to you and try to create a draft of a plan, and we can work on it over the course of the next 4 years. Okay, so acceleration options. This is something I talked to my daughter about last night too. I would say, if you have a son or daughter that's really, super interested in taking an advanced class, let's have a conversation and we can talk to the teacher. There are other options, but that's kind of more on an individualized basis. So that's not like, we don't have the option, but let's talk about it. Okay, forecasting. So forecasting is the word we use. It just means we're picking our classes for next year. counselors will be at the middle school tomorrow, all day long, and I believe we're meeting in the kids' science classes. And so we will talk about some of the things we just talked about, like how many credits do you need for each subject. We'll have the kids fill out a forecasting form, and then you will have input into that form. Like I said, I have some copies of that you can take home tonight. But our goal is just to make sure that we get the kids in classes that make sense for them, and that hopefully that they like, and they, I think back to Dr. Pearson's point, hopefully they pick classes that are challenging and interesting. Oh, one point on that last one. On our school website, there's something called a course planner. So if you want to read the course description for any class, it's all available on our website. So this is an example. This is kind of a copy of what the kids will get tomorrow. I have paper copies here. But you can see the choices that the kids have in fine arts, the CTE, the career technical education choices, the elective choices. And again, I think as you move through your high school career, basically, especially that junior and senior year, there are other choices at other facilities, so you get more and more choices as you move on. Any questions on this slide? No? Okay. Okay, so like I said, that I think it was maybe the first big graphic slide showed those bottom two boxes where the kids had choices. Those electives, the kids will pick 2 electives. If you want, if your plan is to go to a 4-year school, we really encourage you to take Spanish or sign language as one of those elective choices. So you really only have one. And if you're in band, then you're pretty much dialed in already. You don't have a lot of choices your freshman year. But let's say you have no idea what you want to do. You're just kind of exploring that first year. Then you can pick 2 different electives. Oh, one other thing I want to mention that was on that slide, and we do ask that the kids pick alternates. So let's just say art as an example. Art is super popular. It will likely fill up. So if it does, then we go to their second alternate choice. So we'll ask kids to pick an alternate, second and third alternate on that forecasting sheet. So this next slide, Beaver, keep his name. That's a good question. I don't know. This is my first year. I'll defer to Dr. Pearson. How do we know which, let's say a class fills up, how do we determine who gets in?
I mean, the short one no-brainer usually is they start with seniors. So seniors, juniors, for grad requirements and stuff. Trump, freshmen, sadly enough, but I know that much.
Yeah.
There are classes that are sort of predominantly, like R1 as an example, the introductory classes are predominantly 9th graders. So there's a lot of push and pull on that. But yeah, seniors who I don't have this class, I don't graduate. Well, okay, you're gonna have this class. And first year language, Spanish. By the way, I'm sorry, I did not introduce Miss Thomas. She's a Spanish teacher. She's Spanish 1 and Spanish 2. The first year language classes.
The first year language classes are pretty predominantly 9th graders. That's pretty much 9th graders, and there's occasionally kids that start later, but that's pretty significant when 9th graders. So those are the kind of classes that most of the time you see 9th graders, and so there's usually spots there. But if you're talking about, well, as I'll exaggerate a little bit, like Cascadia Tech, that's not available for 9th graders. Those are only 11th and 12th graders. It's a great option, but you can't choose it yet.
Okay, so hopefully that answers your question. And this is what I can tell you. In addition to being based on kind of seniority, also the kids, their schedules are put into a computer system that will help us. Like let's say band is only offered 5th period, and art is only offered 5th period. Well, then they kind of have to make a choice based on what's available. I know that after talking to lots of kids over the years, the assumption is that every class is available every period, so I should just be able to mix and match and get exactly what I want. Well, unfortunately, every class is not available every period, so sometimes we have some strategic choices to make based on those kind of conflicts. Okay, so I want to switch gears real quick to Beaver Camp. So Beaver Camp is basically like a student orientation day that happens in August, where the kids can come, get their schedule, get a tour of the school, kind of get a feel for where their classes are at. And I believe if they bring it says bring the signed parent-student technology agreement to Beaver Camp, and you can get your Chromebook. So in August, there'll be a student orientation where they can get their Chromebook and kind of figure out where their classes are and be ready to go that first day. What else do we have? Anything else? Any questions? I guess that was our last slide. Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, I know in the past, counselors upgrade the students, so will you be the counselor all 4 years?
You know, that's a great question, and I know, so this year was my first year here, and I think that I'll say this, we have had some discussions about changing the way we allocate kids to a counselor. I don't think any final decisions have been made, so I won't speak to that exactly, but I do think that there may be some changes. Right now, I am the 9th grade counselor, so I would not move up with kids. But there are other ways you can allocate kids to counselors so that they stay with them all 4 years. And I know that's been on the table. I don't know if any final decisions have been made on that. So certainly we are talking about ways that we might organize our caseload so that we can have kids all 4 years, absolutely. Any other questions? Okay, well that was, yes ma'am.
There's students that are already in like advanced field, if they be put in advanced field in 9th grade or
Yeah, that would be, I would say, get a hold of me, you can email me, and we can work on, and I can just give you kind of the advanced options and let you know what they are and how you access those. Yeah, good question. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Sí, por chance tienes preguntas en español, estoy aquí para contestar cualquier pregunta, ¿ok? Por eso estoy.
Hey, Steve, let me say one more thing.
I promise, I'm going to promise Miss Benedict I'll be like another 90 seconds. You should have been here the other day. She literally grabbed the microphone from me because I talked too long, fair enough. 8th graders going to the 9th graders, I have one request for everybody, and it's this: don't suffer in silence. If you start to get this feeling like I cannot pull this off, it is getting, I'm losing track, I'm starting to lose track, I'm starting to feel like that's the signal. Go tell an adult. You will be shocked what would happen if you said, even if you said, hey, this thing is due tomorrow, and even if you say, this is my fault, I should have done it 3 days ago, but can I have another day? You will be shocked how far that will go with adults in this building, because nobody in this building comes to work thinking, how can I mess kids up today? How can I be unreasonable? How can I be unfair? No one thinks that. Everyone thinks the opposite. Everyone comes to work thinking, how can I make things better for you? So do not suffer in silence. And then maybe to the parents, I would say this. Human beings, we see the world through our own particular lens, right? We all do it. If your student comes home and says something and you go, whoa, that is hard to believe. Whoa, please call us. Because it's quite possible you're getting a version of this. Not that the kids are lying, but that's the way they saw it. And just say, hey, listen, I'm hearing something. Doesn't sound good, it doesn't sound right. I need to ask. Do that, please. We want to hear right away. We want to hear right away. Because human beings, we see the world through a particular lens, and we get part of the thing, and then we go home and we say it, and if it sounds to you like that, whoa, that is wrong, then call us. Just go, that sounds wrong. What happened? Absolutely, 100%. 100%. We want to hear that. We want to hear early and often. We don't want it to linger. So that's kind of the same message to the kids too. Don't let it sit. Don't let it sit. We want to hear quickly. There's lots and lots of people who are here and want to hear from you. So I guess that's all. Yes, please. And this, I will not take the microphone again.
I just wanted to plug Beaver Camp one more time. You will get talking points from us as just that it's coming and that it's really a cool opportunity for the students to be on campus and kind of walk around and find where the classes are. You'll do a science activity, there's a competition. Yesterday, when you guys were all here, I reminded you that we're competitive and we like to reward that. So like we're dropping, it's a STEM challenge, so you have to make a lander. There's an Army man that you have to cover and drop off the balcony, and the last one I think I wins. So it's some games, it's fun, you get to see PE, you get to talk to your counselors and double check, you'll get your schedule. It's a really good chance to come and take a deep breath because you're about to step into a really cool adventure and it's gonna go really quickly. But if you're nervous or you're just excited, all of it, tell your friends and come. It's a really fun, like 2 or 3 hours and it's worth your time.
Okay, I think that wraps it up for tonight. That was short and easy, so hopefully that'll get you home in time for dinner. One last thing I would like to say though is we do have a list of those electives here if you want to take a paper copy, and please reach out if you have questions in the future. Thanks so much for coming.
Drive safe.